Hey y'all, looking forward to sharing today's episode with you. I just got off with Clare Brown. She has been making these reversed weaponized incompetence, reverse racism, reverse white privilege, reverse misogyny skits since I think she said 2020. And I've learned a ton from them. But you're probably gonna get sick of me hearing me say that. But she has a really clever way that she goes about teaching people, entertaining people, but also towing a really tight line around sarcasm. Um, Really fun. Glad I got to meet her in person. We've been chatting for a couple of years, and really glad I got to talk with her today. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Hi, my name's Zach. I'm your favorite mental load coach. I teach men, sometimes women, to better understand invisible labor. When it comes to domestic labor, mental load, emotional labor, I got you covered. I teach men emotional literacy and fluency. I bring guests on that for us to have conversations to improve our understanding of these concepts and these topics. Sometimes we're going to agree, sometimes we're going to disagree, but the main goal is for us to improve those conversations. Welcome to the Zach Thinks Your podcast. And hey, if this is not your first time on here, I kindly invite you to leave a review or hit the follow button if you haven't already. Look forward to sharing with you today. Hello and welcome to the Zach Thinks Your podcast. I always like to start off with an acknowledgement here because I don't typically have guests on that I don't know too well. I haven't read some level of the work. Claire, I think I've probably watched, I don't know how many posts you probably get a couple thousand posts up there. I probably watched somewhere over 100. I would say over the couple years. I don't even remember, maybe it was like 2021 or 2022 when I first found you, probably through Laura Danger or something, but
Mhm.
um you sent me your audiobook last year when it came out, New Nigeria County. And one of the posts I made earlier this year, which was probably my scariest post, was acknowledging my own internalized misogyny and racism that I noticed in real time watching the Grammy Awards. And I felt like your entire book was like a long, painful epiphany of like the the very different experience that I have as a white, tall ass male, cis hetero in America. Um, I think the only privilege that I'm missing from the full Thanos hand is being like a Napo baby or being a trust fund baby.
Right.
But for the
Yes.
most
Yeah.
part, I have all the privileges. And so I've found the work that you do between the short skits that you do and the book that you did. Um, I feel like you're so opposite so much of the comedy that we see out there, which is like telling us to chuckle along with the shittiness of our current situation.
Hmm.
And I really appreciate the different perspective that you give. I'm going to try to describe to listeners that have never seen or heard your work before, and I want you to correct me on where I'm missing. So you create satire content that reverses reverses the experience of, I'm going to say, oppressed groups um, in the use of language and how so many microaggressions exist today. Is
Yeah.
that a
That's that.
fair
Yeah.
explanation?
Yes. I mean, at my core, I'm a big linguist. I just love dissecting language and the language that we accept as normal
Mm,
and everyday. And how so much of it is rooted in misogyny and, just propping up men, right? It's
mm,
like everything considers men first in pretty much every aspect of our language. Like we say, hey guys, where it's like all mankind, like every, even
mhm.
like little things. And it might seem like nothing, but when you stack all of these tiny little building blocks together, that's when you create
Yeah.
this society. So and I noticed that a lot when I started my TikTok channel around George Floyd's death. And so many people were um, speaking their truth, especially like Black women, they were talking about their experience in 2020
Yeah.
with racism, and so many people were surprised by that. And I realized that we don't get it. And so much of the racism education that we get are like hidden figures or things that happened
Mm.
generations ago, and it makes it feel like, oh, this is a history lesson about something we shouldn't go back to, but that we have not really like come
Yeah.
as
Meanwhile, we're
far as we
experiencing it
would
in real
like
time.
to, yeah, as we would like to think. So I wanted to create something where it didn't feel preachy, because I personally am not a fan of being lectured, but that sort of uncovered all of the ways in which we even without realizing, perpetuate this society of like us and them
Mm.
just in language. Um, so that's where we are.
So I know I can get a little preachy sometimes. Uh, uh, falsely, yeah. I know for sure that happens with me. What have you gotten similar messages from like white dudes like that are their own boy bosses that are waking up from like hearing your things?
Yeah, I mean, people, it's so funny. One thing people always ask me are like, how do people respond? Like, do you get a lot of hate messages? Like, and no, if anything, I feel like the response has been overwhelmingly positive, just because it's not about arguing. There's not really anything to argue about, right? I just will
Yeah,
say hysterical instead of hysterical. And
yeah.
it's like, what is there to debate? It is just the flip of the language. So I think it's about, most people come to my page wanting to learn and wanting to kind of feel like why they leave certain interactions feeling like icky or weird or unfulfilled. So, like I don't do like a ton of hot takes or anything. It's just taking a lot of things I literally hear or have literally lived and doing them as if I didn't live in the society that I live in. And
Hmm.
how would it sound? And like, how would,
In New
yeah,
Nigeria County.
right. What would it sound like in New Nigeria County?
What when you when you look at all the microaggressions that show up, are there any that you think you end up talking about that you haven't actually experienced, or have you like actually experienced almost everything that you talk about?
Yeah, I would say most of them are definitely based in lived experience for sure. Especially too, because like I grew up, middle class. I went to like private schools. So I was always like, in my middle school was one of two Black
Yeah,
kids, and the other kid was a Black boy.
yeah,
So his experience is much different than mine as a Black girl,
yeah.
and how that all shapes out. So I do have a unique perspective, because I feel like I've always sort of been surrounded by very affluent white people, and the way that they move and occupy space um is how I act in my videos, without realizing it, right? And they would never, like, these are people who are like, I am not a racist person, but they
Mm.
every day work to uphold their own communities and put themselves first. And when it comes down to it, like, that is by any means necessary.
Yeah,
Um, and so they don't like to feel challenged. Nobody does, right? Nobody wants to relinquish their privilege,
yeah.
you know. Um, so yeah, I tried to draw from my own experiences. And then I think it's impossible to be awake and read anything and not see, what I talk about in real time.
Do you have like if you're comedy and like I mean boy boss, I'm sure you're not the only one that's like made that joke out there. Of the I feel like you have a good handful of like go-to phrases that are reversed. If you could see one on a t-shirt, like just whether you got credit for it or not, but it just became a thing. Like,
Oh
what is
yeah.
the one that you love the most that you would love for it to just be like a thing in our culture?
Oh yeah. I mean, I do love hysterical. It is like it's one of my favorites. I do have it on a t-shirt and it's one of my best selling like bits of merch. It just says like don't be hysterical on it.
I might
Just
have to
because
get that
it's
one.
yeah, just because it is like we always say hysterical. Like we use it for things that are bad, we use it for things that are good, but it comes from like such a
Hysterectomy, right?
right, and like this idea that you have a or, like a moving womb that like moves around your body and impacts your mood, and that was real medicine that people thought was real, and it's just like a lot of things that I think as a woman you're like, what? But that was believed, and we still use the language, like we
Yeah.
still use the word hysterical, whether something is funny, like any sort of severe emotion, whether good or bad, you usually use hysterical. And
Mm.
the to imply that that doesn't make you think a certain way about women, that like you, as a woman, you have these like extreme emotions, like you're either so happy, like hee, or you're like bawling and in a corner. And what would it look like if that language was like rooted in the male anatomy and how you would approach you know, male emotions and that this is hysterical, whether it's like that was a really funny movie, it was hysterical, or like calm down, you're being hysterical.
I don't think, you know what? As you're pointing out your love for linguistics, I don't think I've put together when someone laughs and this, oh, that was hysterical.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever put together until just now
Yeah.
that that's the same base of the word as like
Right.
hysterectomy as like you're being hysterical.
Yeah.
Wow. I one of the things that I one of the other really painful lessons I think I learned out of your book was the amount of times Margin got a new name.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember I made a stitch like a somewhere around a year ago of like there are these two boys that were there was a dad and his son were trolling um this boy on a first date with their sister and daughter, and they kept saying his name wrong. And he's like, "My name's not something. It's Troy, or it's not Troy. It's whatever it was, Trey, I think." And and I remember thinking like, I don't think I understood like as a name Zach,
Yeah.
maybe Zachary, but like that's only kids trolling you in elementary school that are
Oh, right.
purposefully mispronouncing your name. But I've never had that issue before because I have a very, I guess, English sounding name that like there's there's no question with the English language how you would say it. How if you were putting my name in a skit, how would you attempt to mispronounce it?
Yeah, maybe I would be like yak or like did you pronounce all the letters? Does that mean anything in your language?
That's good.
Yeah, ach.
Yeah, I saw
What
your skit
silent
the other
or
day of Sydney Sweeney. That's
yeah,
clearly not European
yeah,
American.
yeah, that's too hard. It's too much.
I one of the things that I think came out of it's funny. I feel like so much comedy, like you expect to walk away listening to something comedic, laughing and like being generally in a positive attitude. I'm sure a lot of people that experience a lot of the other side of the microaggressions, like they probably have some of that experience. For me, it was super uncomfortable, but it was consistently eye-opening. I think that was a couple of my clients I actually started thinking a little bit differently about is just pronouncing names correctly. And I've made there have been a lot of moments where I've phonetically pronounced their name onto like my own side of like meeting notes or something so that I don't get it wrong, which is not I'm embarrassed to say that's not something that I cared about nearly as much. I think I would often find maybe a shortening or something that I felt really confident in not getting wrong,
Yeah.
rather than trying giving them the respect of saying their whole name fully. I think that was something that I I didn't fully appreciate until I think I listened to your book.
Yeah. And I mean, I think too, it's like, it's about making the effort, right? It's about not immediately dismissing someone's name and being like, oh, I'm not going to call you that, or that's too
Mm,
hard for me. I'm going to call you this, which happens.
yeah.
But making the effort, because I am also not great with names. And so I always write them because, I have a day job and it requires me to know people's names. That's like the crux of what I do. But it's just your name is so important. It's who you are on a very fundamental level. It's your name matters probably more than anything, in terms of it's what people see even before they meet you. And I think there is this power play if you have a quote exotic name, but like what does exotic mean in our culture? And it's like not white. So that is kind of how it can be very othering
Mm,
is a making a big deal about a name and then being like it's too
mm.
exotic, I can't pronounce it, it's too hard. um and do you have like a normal name? Do you have a regular name? Do you have a
Ugh.
nickname? And that can be like, wait, what's happening? And then inevitably, if you are a person in that position and then you say something about it, then comes the gaslighting. Oh, you're so sensitive. Like, calm down.
Mm.
Like, why are you so aggressive? But when you put yourself in that situation, then you see, like, it matters. Your name matters. So
As a fellow content creator, I think sometimes some of the videos that I put out there are hard for me to make. Like, I'm a little afraid of putting them out there, but I
yeah.
know that they'll probably do some good in the world. Have there been videos where you've been hesitant to make them, or like you sat on the idea for a while because you're a little afraid of how it would come out?
Yeah. I mean, I always want to get it right, because I think my content, and you said it earlier, it toes a very hard line of not of being just like sad. And I don't want people to be sad. So it's like,
Mm,
how can I approach this humorously too? Like, what does it look like if it's funny? Because I don't think anything I really do is inherently funny, right? It's
mm,
only funny because it's unexpected and uncomfortable and weird and that kind of funny. It's not like slipping on ice. Hee, that was funny,
yeah.
or like a fail video or um and then also you raised this point earlier, a lot of the comedy that we're used to asks us to just accept the status quo, like the whole niche, and you've done a video calling this out, of like the stressed out mom before a guest comes over. Like
Mm,
that is the comedy, or like every stand-up comic from the beginning of time, their shtick is like dunking on their wife for asking them to do anything. And
mm.
that is sort of like where we live in comedy. So what does it look like to completely move out of that and do something else? So I get worried, A, like, are people going to understand this? And then will it be like depressing? Because I also don't want to create content that like re-traumatizes
Mm.
marginalized communities because it's like it's already enough. So how can I like toe the line of like sharing, educating, empowering, being funny, and being coherent? Um, so that it's always a challenge, and I
It
always
doesn't have to be coherent. It just makes me watch it a second time because I know there's gold underneath there.
you're right. But yeah, I'm always like, oh gosh, I always spiral though about content. That's like, I mean, who I am in
I
general.
feel
It
like
could
all of us
be,
content creators that start
Mhm.
out this way, like I
Yeah.
can't not go through a day without. I mean, I remember when I first started, like in 2016, I was making personal development videos. I started out, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make a whole year. I'm gonna make one video every day on YouTube. And I remember the first week, I was like, fuck, what am I gonna talk about today? Then by like 2 or 3 weeks in, I was like, I have 10 ideas a day, and I wouldn't know which one to execute on. And I feel like that's how I walk through my days since
Yes, you're always
2021 is
thinking.
like, ooh, that's a video idea. And you just got to figure out which one's worth the energy.
Yeah, that day. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I have also always done content since 2009. I was like an OG fashion blogger.
Ooh,
Like if you had a Pinterest account, if your wife has a Pinterest account, especially from like 2009 to 2018, she definitely pinned one of my looks because I
really?
was accidentally, for 6 years in a row, the top 10 modest fashion bloggers in the Salt Lake City Tribune,
No way.
which is not something I did not set out to be like a modest fashion blogger. It literally just I lived in New York City and it was cold. And at the time, the fashion was like lots of slip dresses, and I always wore things so that I wasn't cold because my husband and I took photos outside. Like he was my Instagram husband and like took all my pictures. And I do draw a very hard line about being cold, but somehow that like transitioned into like modesty culture and like purity culture.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's I just don't want to be I just don't want to be cold. Like, and I'm just gonna wear a coat because like I
I
don't want
feel
to
like
be
there's a
cold.
skit to be made out of that right there. And I don't know what it is. I think
I
you would
know,
understand,
but it
but
is
like,
funny, right? It's like you are doing this intentionally for the Lord. And it was like, no,
no, I don't want to be
it's
cold.
just 15 degrees.
I, I'm really curious if you were a white model doing the same thing, if they would
Right.
have received it the same
I
way. I'm sure
know.
you've had that thought before.
Oh yeah, I know. And it's like, oh, modest, like and the whole like modesty thing and the idea that like me wearing a coat is like somehow tied to virtue. It's just like a lot. Like
Hmm.
if you start like pulling on the threads, it's like no, I mean it's just cold outside. It's February.
It's too funny. If you were talking to a younger version of yourself, or like a creator that like has ideas, would love to do things like this, but they're a little afraid of like putting it out there,
hmm
what do you say to them?
Um, okay, I would never say like don't be afraid because the internet is a scary place and
Facts.
you never know what's gonna happen.
Hmm.
But that's also just ignore all that. I think if you want to be a content creator, or if you want to do content too, especially like satirical or like humor or content that is designed to better people, then you have to be just really like firm in your beliefs and just ignore the noise, which is easier said than done, right? I mean,
Hmm.
the internet is scary, and especially like I've been very lucky in that like the overwhelming majority of people get what I'm trying to do and are in my comments maintaining the joke. Like I have very great comment sections.
Yeah.
Like they're my favorite part of doing this. I love it. And it happens like no matter where I go on the internet. Like people just pick up the joke and run with it. But that doesn't always happen. And so not to feel discouraged if that doesn't end up being, you're still doing valuable work,
Hmm.
but you do have to have a thick skin. But that's true with any type of performance.
Who was your cheerleader early on when you first like tried out these skits?
Oh, so I started my TikTok because of this person. His name is Aaron Goldberg. He's like one half of the Mean Gays. I don't know if you've watched his videos. He's the best. Love him. Go follow him. He has these skits. It's like the Mean Gays, and it's him and this other guy, and they like politely roast people as the Mean Gays. Anyway, he is the first person I ever saw not just like dancing around on TikTok, and he was doing skits. And I was like, "Oh, you can do this?" So I DM'd him and he's like, "Yeah, girl, just do it." So he was the reason I decided to post on TikTok because I was like, "Okay, you can be old and you can also not dance? Like, what? I don't have to be 15?" Um, so, but then and then I know like Haley from Sad Beige, just from my life. We lived in the same town for a long time. So I feel like I had a network. And then I had also a lot of just people from my past blog life who were all like trying to figure out as blogging died, like
How to
what's,
reinvent themselves.
yeah, what's next? And I was not going to do fashion on TikTok. That was just not going to happen. Like, no.
Yeah, I feel
So,
like 2020 uh like really reinvented TikTok into I don't know who started it, but like what someone realized this is just another video platform. I don't need to do a
exactly.
trend. I don't need to dance.
Doesn't need to
I
be,
can
and
just
doesn't need a lip
talk.
sync.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, have always loved TikTok, but I was like, this is not for me. This is a platform for children,
Yeah.
and they're
It's too
so
cute
cute
for
and
me.
like so charming and very talented, but I don't dance like that, and didn't lip sync.
Yeah.
But
Or
then,
in like
yeah,
early
yeah,
2020, I remember like I fell into a lot of the like transition edits got kind of interesting where you didn't have to
Mhm.
dance, but you had to do something kind of cool on
Yes.
camera. And I
Hmm.
was like, I'll give this a shot because I was a video editing teacher for a little bit. But yeah, I forget what point it turned into. People were just talking on it
Yeah, just
also.
just yeah, chatting it
And
up.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was 2020, I think
I do
around
too.
George
Yeah.
Floyd.
Yeah, that was a big transition point. And I feel like now we're at another one where it's just really hard to make it.
Hmm.
Like, I feel like yeah, you got to work harder. I mean, there's like lots of like breakout stars, but I felt like 2020, like that was the year where it was like people
If I
solidified
had started talking
themselves.
about mental load in 2020, I would be over a billion followers by now. I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
sure it would be crazy. But I
Yeah.
started in 20. I started I started talking about fatherhood in 2021,
Okay.
and then started talking about mental load a year later when I realized I didn't want to have my kid in my videos
I
anymore.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Hmm.
bad. Um,
Yeah. That was the other thing too with fashion. Like, there comes a time when you've like aged out of being like a single cool girl in the city, and the expectation is that you pivot into like mom lifestyle, what I'm wearing with my kids, and that is like a hard
yeah,
no.
not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you said you have a full-time job. I've never picked up on that from your videos, also because they're all satire. But
Yeah.
what I'm so curious to know what you do full-time now.
I work in influencer relations. So
Oh,
I work at an agency and I do influencer campaigns for like big, huge monster brands.
oh. So you're also a part of how the sausage gets
I
made, but you're
am on the
also
other
like,
side.
that's really
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I've thought of if I needed a backup plan, I was thinking I would work for like Stan Store or something, like one
Yeah.
something else that helps influencers so I could
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
speak their
Yeah, so that's what
language.
I do. I like lead a team of very talented people and we do influencer strategies and influencer campaigns.
And you get the sauce to prove it. Like they can't even second guess you because you've built such a huge brand on
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah,
That's
I know what
awesome.
I'm doing. But yeah, I don't do like product reviews or anything like that, but yeah, I know.
Is there, as you think about all the microaggressions that show up and how you implement them, I know that there's trending moments that you're like, Sydney Sweeney in the jeans ad.
Hmm.
Are there other things that you would love to be poking at that are just a little bit outside of your comfort zone right now?
Um, I know. So there, I think it's easy to get really fatigued in this line. There is a part of me that's like, I should be doing more about the administration, their current presidential situation. I don't even know what the right adjective is. Um,
It's hysterical.
but yeah, yeah, our current presidential hysteria. But it's just too sad. I'm
Mm,
like not ready to even, I can't.
I hear that.
Yeah. And then, but there's like a part of me where I'm always like, I should, because it's important, but it's like, I can't. It's too much.
It's too much pain for what's happening right
In
now
real
in real
time,
time.
yes.
There's no time for reflection because we're on to the next hysterical moment.
Yes, exactly. So, there's that. And I was too, I felt like when I first started, did more like real, like something would happen and I would make a video about it. Now I find too that just making more like baseline foundational videos about society as a whole, they tend to do better because they just resonate more widely. So I just try to be more thoughtful about like what can I discuss that's not so like ping-ponging, like trauma ping-ponging. It's
Mm.
like what can we discuss that's more of like a baseline, this is how we speak to young girls versus young boys. Like, this is what happens in school with like dress codes. Like, this is how we talk about sports, etc. I find that it does better too for my like just mental health. And then I notice that people just like it better because I mean, we're all living in the same hellscape. So,
I one thing that we did to minorly, I'm pretty certain my aunts and uncles don't listen to this. Um, we we tried trolling some family members. Not really. We didn't actually tell them, but we asked for our child's birthday for a bunch of the Florida banned books that are most like Hair Love is one of them. It's crazy. Um,
yeah, it's bad.
like so we just asked for a bunch of Florida banned books, and the uncles and aunts I'm referring to, I don't think they're MAGA, but like they voted for Trump. And I just think to myself, I feel like banned books and like talking about, oh, that is far too heterosexual to possibly
Yeah.
be shown to the children. That's pornographic.
Little House
Um,
on the Prairie? Like,
but I feel like I feel like yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like too sad to talk about the administration real time. I could imagine there being smaller things like banned books almost
yeah.
seems comical. Um, but
Yeah, and it's
I'm hoping
absurdity.
that because I think for my soul, when you hit that note, I know that you're going to do a good job towing the line for us all. And I think you're right. It's needed, but at the same time, like there's a certain level of emotional regulation we even have to be able to make fun of these things.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and what it all looks like. Because I did with the first time around, I did way more. But now I'm like, how are we back here?
Yeah. If if you could see one big shift, like if hundreds of thousands of men were to have more epiphanies from listening to your content, what do you think are some of the top things that you would hope they would learn?
Oh, um, gosh. I I think um it is.
I have a guess.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's the humanization of women and girls. Um, like it's shocking to me when you see it like a grown man who's like, now that I have a daughter, I understand that I need to be nice to women. And it's like, sir, you are 35. Like, what have you been doing up
Yeah.
until this time? Um, and I think um like not getting so, there's this holdover from the past that, that I think more obviously, like more men tend to gravitate to this sort of Pleasantville idea that never actually exists, but like the man goes to work and he can like support his family of, two kids and wife, and he comes home and does nothing, and his wife is there with a meal, and there is um this nostalgia for that isn't a joke, which I
Mm,
find very strange just because that wasn't real to begin with. And
mm,
get like getting literally into the idea that you have to be a participant in your house. Like it doesn't matter if you work or not. Like you have to like be part of your home. And just having the home and then there being two to
People
three
that show
people
up and live in it.
there who are related to you by marriage and then by blood, like that doesn't make you like a provider or a good person. Like you have to like be part of your life.
So
And
it
there's
sounds
like
like
so
for you to wipe away a bit more of that not comedic nostalgia would be a win.
right, yeah. It's like what you and yeah, I mean I find and I'll listen to it sometimes with like, the worst husbands that and they're like, "Well, I work, and I'm doing this." But it's like you still have to be like part of your life. And don't you want to be?
Hmm.
Um,
I was gonna guess that because that, and maybe this is mostly just because what I think I've gained from consuming enough of your work is having people with privilege see it and stop like not acknowledging it. It's like having a certain level of new awareness or willingness to step back and see their privilege as it is and have more empathy for people that don't have that same privilege. That's what I almost feel like that's the hidden mission statement underneath your videos.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think it's about, yeah, I mean, it's definitely about empathy. Um, and I think it's also about like not overvaluing what you think you know. Like you don't know what you don't know. And there's a whole subset of people who are like, because I have a sign in my yard, like I am done with the work. And none of us are. Like we
Mm,
all can as a collective be better and do better and be more empathetic and, you know, strive to see. But it's like you don't know what you don't know. And I feel like I have the privilege of having been part of these communities where like people don't like who historically look like me are part of. So I can like see behind the curtain in a way that I think is like shocking. I think too to like my viewers, especially my viewers who are like of that because I've seen it and I can act it out. And so I think it like helps to see that very vividly, like how it looks to someone that's on the outside.
mm.
But yeah, I mean, it's all about empathy and I think like not living your life in like a weird hierarchy. Um,
Coming back to some of the education that you want for people, what is I know for me, my favorite DM that I receive is when I think for the very first time ever yesterday, I realized with my wife, a guy came up to us in the park and said, "Hey, do you make videos about like relationships and stuff?" And he's like, "Thank you so much for them." It's the first time a guy did it. There was one other guy that I'd been DMing back and forth with. This is the first complete stranger that
yeah.
walked up to me as a guy. My favorite DMs are actually from men, not so much from women,
Yeah.
saying like I now understand things that I didn't before.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite type of DM that you receive?
Yeah. I think probably I got a DM from a a member of the clergy. I don't know if he was a priest or like I don't know what he was, but he was a man of the cloth, if you will. And and he was like, "Your videos have really helped me." And I looked, and he was from the South, so that's always, a win.
Hmm.
Anyone who's like part of Southern religion, having grown up in the South, like that's where things can get
Yeah.
a little crazy. But yeah, I think he wrote and was like, I just find your work to be really impactful and eye-opening, and I'm learning so much. And that um, was like, I had no idea because I'm the same way. I don't ever think any men watch my videos.
Yeah.
Um,
I always forget men watch my videos because I have like a 91% women.
yeah, yeah.
And then I forget about the other 9% is still
Hmm.
a
I
not
know I should look
insignificant
at
number.
um I should look at those analytics. You
I'll
just
bet you're
reminded me.
somewhere between 80 and 90 would be my
Yeah, I'm
guess.
sure. Because I always think it's mostly women. I feel like men watch a lot of AI like porn bots. That's their side of the, and they're like, this is a real woman who loves me. Um, but yeah. So I'm not on that side of the internet. But yeah, I mean, and I have never checked my TikTok DMs because I'm too scared.
Those are a lot of bots over there.
Okay, yeah,
I
I've
just get
not,
people
yeah.
sharing stuff with me. It's half of it's like fake engagement, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, is that
Instagram, I
gonna?
actually look at my DMs. TikTok, like I'll check it once every 6 months to see if there's
Yeah,
anything in there.
yeah, I'll check my Instagram ones because those are usually always real and safe and fine. TikTok,
It sketches me out.
I'm too scared.
So, and you started on TikTok and then branched over onto,
So
actually,
I
no, because you
didn't.
already
I
had your,
started on Instagram and I actually started like I have like a whole other page that's more like I've now just made it more my personal page,
yeah,
but I started just doing like nonsense comedy videos just because I didn't know what I was doing and like how to use like a tripod. So I did like silly videos. It did really well. And then I stopped because I was like, okay, now I kind of understand how this is doing. And like that is a whole time suck that I just didn't.
yeah.
But then when I started on TikTok, I was like, I need a niche and I need like a strategy and it needs to be this. So then I made it very narrow. But I mean, yeah, those nonsense videos, I mean, they're still up, but they're on a whole different page.
Speaking of strategy and like being strategic, I need to know what percent of your videos are scripted versus you kind of shooting from the hip.
Oh, 100% of them are not scripted.
Really? So like you're just like, all right, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Sydney Sweeney thing, and then you pull up
Yeah, and
the
then I
camera and you
just
just
sort of
do it.
like riff it out. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I can't write it or else it doesn't sound as good.
loses a little bit of its I feel like it loses a little bit of passion. I'll
Yeah.
admit for anyone that's watching in late August or early September. So I just recently decided to get a little bit of help. So my whole thing is I love low friction content that's
Hmm.
like messy green screen, pull your camera phone out and figure it out. But recently I've been wanting to up my professionalism. I'm going for a book proposal right now.
Okay, okay.
And so I have this company doing very high friction content where I got tripods, I got B-roll. They want me to use the
Mm.
other side of the camera. They're gonna come out
Nice.
really good, but it's a long
Yeah,
learning curve and it's a lot of effort. Um, but yeah,
that's amazing.
that's inspiring for me to hear that you also don't script them out because every
No.
once in a while I'll talk with like Jimmy on relationships and like he scripts out all of his and they're very curated and I can't wrap my head
Oh,
around
yeah.
how I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't do that editing. I unless I'm paying for something, I'm not pulling out my tripod. I'm not pulling out the lights.
Oh, no, I know I can't. And I mean, like this has always been like a hobby, you know, because at my core, I am a theater kid who
Hmm.
just decided to go into a field that like makes money. Um, so this has always been like my sort of like creative performance outlet. I can like create this character and like act it out. So I feel like it's been low stakes. Like I was much more intense about my when I was like a fashion blogger because I made a lot of money fashion blogging and it was like helped with my life at
Hmm.
being like a 23-year-old living in Manhattan. Like I had no money even though I worked.
Yeah.
So I was like really crazy about that. Um and I have tried with this to like not go down that road of being like, this is trash, reshoot it, like,
Yeah.
and just make sure that it's still something that I love doing. So that's probably why. But I think honestly, like I hate to say it, I would probably try to do more like curating, like trying hard to like build out that world more like real if this was
full
like a
time.
main source of income or
Yeah.
like something like that, then I would reach for the stars a little bit more.
I am one more curiosity. I think this will be my last question. Actually, two more. If I were to see you on a stage, are you more likely to be educating or doing like a comedy routine?
I know. I don't know.
Because it occurs to me that you're super capable of both, but I'm really curious as to are you more
I
of an entertainer or are you more of an
Yes,
educator?
and like when it comes to stage things too, like so many people have been like, why don't you do stand up? And I just don't know if that's for me. Um, I don't know about that. Like if I was to be on the stage, I would need a script and like a director telling me where to stand and what to do and how to stand and what to wear. And
So it
yeah,
sounds like it's more likely if you were on a stage, you'd be educating rather than
yeah, yeah.
being funny.
I know.
Or you'd be
Yeah.
funny in the education, but
Maybe,
it would be
yeah. I
mainly you'd be there to
know.
teach.
I don't, because I find stand up to be very much about like you and your actual life. And I don't share any part of my actual life on the internet.
Oh yeah. Well,
Mm.
kind of because
Yeah, like
you shared the
adjacent.
microaggressions, but in different
Right.
scenarios. But yeah, not your
Yeah.
personal life. Hmm.
Um, so
All right,
yeah, it's like,
here's
yeah, getting to that point where you feel comfortable like sharing a real, no, I'm not, I don't know.
yeah. All right, my final question.
We
Oh,
have a
we
visitor.
get guests.
I know, I have a little. This is Lucy. You say
Hi,
hello?
Lucy.
All right, say hi and then go. Scram. Okay, well then go change them. Yeah, go change them.
If you, so I like asking this to all the guests that come on. If you had were actually this is kind of what you do for a job is brand strategy, but if you had access to 100 creators
Mhm.
over 100,000 or quarter million or something, and they're all somewhat in sort of both of our niche of like changing status quo, changing how we see these kind of things. If you had to encourage and sort of instruct them on one message for a half of a year or a full year, what's
Mhm.
the message that you would encourage to make the world a better place in your vision?
Oh, for like in terms of like content or yeah, just yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
like this is
say,
what we're focusing on for the next 6 months, people.
yeah, this is what we're focusing on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say do content that makes you happy because you can tell if it doesn't.
Mm,
Um, and do and content that also like adds some sort of value. Like
mm.
there's so much brain rot, nothingness content, even if it's just like making a recipe. Like do something that like puts like some positive, net positive value in the world. And it doesn't have to be like like affirmations necessarily. Like, is it, you know, that woman who has that cat and her mom loves the cat and she like dresses it up in saris and she's like, you're so decent.
No,
Um,
I've not seen that one.
oh, it is, I'll send it to you. It's so good. It's like this woman who has she got a cat and her mom like loves this cat and like always dresses it up. And like that's just like a little nugget of like, it's funny, but it's positive. Things like that. Like is your content doing something good?
That was not the angle I thought I was meaning to ask you of. I meant more, well, but I'll take it. I will reiterate my question, which is
Yeah.
that I think I recently got added to like a positive masculinity creator community, like a network of a bunch of us with decent platforms.
Mm.
And I was thinking like, oh, this could turn into a little army of we all decide to go ham on one specific topic for a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, like
Um,
in that space.
yeah, like I'm curious if you had a bunch of either comedians or I'm going to call us like social justice warriors, and you were
Mm.
to go after one
Mm-hmm.
issue, like one thing that you
Mm.
could change a couple million people's minds on or shift the
Oh my gosh,
awareness
I
of, what would it be?
think if I never have to hear like masculine energy and feminine energy and assigning personality traits to a gender, I will die happy. I like hate that. It's just repurposed weird, like archaic gender roles that we've
Yeah.
given a new name. Like this idea, like you have to be like soft and kind spoken, and that's for girls. And then you're loud and dominating, and
Yeah.
that's for boys. Like, I hate it. It's my least favorite thing.
That, yeah. That it would be great to put a dent in that. I feel like I'm sad to say that I've done some like men's work and like where it's been gendered and it never quite sat with me and I feel like there were good things that came from it because I think they
Yeah.
separate us and they got a lot of us guys very vulnerable with each
Right, right,
other.
yeah.
But at the same time, there was a lot of the wording and the stuff that I just couldn't wrap my head around. And I do think we'd probably be a better place without
Oh yeah, and
us
it's
doing
like I feel
things.
like it's like a little bit pervasive, and I just am like, what is happening? Why are we doing this? It just seems so like I thought we got past this and it's back.
The way that I think it was from the tipping point, or it was something from Malcolm
Oh
Gladwell,
yeah.
I think explains a lot of what we're seeing, this decade, is
Hmm.
that when Obama became president and these many white people out there that were like, well, at least I'm white. Like I have
Right, yeah.
something. I'm not, they had this concept of I'm not the bottom of the economic food chain. The moment that Obama got elected, that was now at stake. They're like, shit, I might actually not, I could be the bottom now, or something like that. And so I think we're seeing this like last reach, like struggling, like you're gasping for breath, trying to not
Right.
drown almost
Yes.
in what in their white privilege. And I think a lot of like, as we came really close to having a women president twice. And I think similarly, like that's why I feel like we're seeing so much of this like going back in time is like Malcolm put it a lot better than I am, but I think this is like a last ditch effort to reclaim what has been white privileged people's
Oh, yes.
time.
Oh, completely agree. I mean, I think it's definitely yeah, it's strange to me. And it also makes me really sad that like so many black men have hopped on like the podcast bro and they're like reciting this rhetoric that's like, no, 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 no. Let's not make everything worse.
Yeah. Well,
But
Claire, thank you so much for talking with me today.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of your short videos as well as your audiobook was wonderful. I listened to it last year. There are a few books I've listened to, I think, over 150 audiobooks in the last decade. This was one of maybe three that were not nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I, it was one of those ones that multiple times my wife got mad at me for staying up too late because I was locked in. And at some point, I'd done the dishes, I'd cleaned the kitchen. I was like, I'm just gonna sit on the couch and keep listening to this. It's great. So I highly recommend checking out New Nigeria County. It was an absolutely joyful
Oh, thank
listen, a
you.
wonderful read. But maybe there probably won't be a physical copy someday.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
it's an Audible exclusive.
Yeah, yes, yes,
Um,
yes. But
Claire,
yes.
thank you again for coming today. This is
Oh,
awesome.
yes, no, thank you. And I'm a huge fan, always have been. And thank you for having me on and for accepting my special guest. All right, talk soon, Zach. I appreciate